Okay.
What we did was actually constructing a Grails application from scratch. There are various commands that you can use to do so. There is a whole list of those commands. We explored some of those in detail, some of those we didn't. And yeah, what you can actually do with it is quickly creating web applications. We simply defined a domain class person here with its properties, and what it generates for you is something like a CRUD application where you can list all those persons and create new ones and all that stuff. That's generated right out of this domain class. What we tried to dig into is formulating constraints on the domain class, which was not as easy as expected. There were some pitfalls we shipped around and had to discover. And one thing was that this constraints property here, or closure, is evaluated by the meta object protocol stuff and creates new virtual methods on that class at runtime. So when you start Grails and hand it the class, you can call a validate method on it, and it will execute these constraint checks. And the thing is that let me show you where I have this. We had problems getting the email validation running, right?
Yeah.
I think for Todd it worked. You can say something like this. Try this here. You can say email
true.
Yeah.
Blank :
so
false.
this will check that the email property right here is really an email address. It's actually checking against a regular expression, but somehow I couldn't get this working. So whenever I left that field blank or typed in something wrong, it didn't complain about it. So we tried to write a unit test for this, and the problem was the unit test always told me that there is no validate method on it. And the thing we found out was that you actually have to run this as an integration test, because only then Grails is starting and creating this virtual method. And this is not really documented anywhere, so
not really obvious.
It's documented now on video.
Yeah. So there are a lot of defaults and all that stuff that you have to Google and dig into documentation and stuff.
I think we also found another couple things about. I think in Ruby in the Rails environment, you can just change a controller file, change a model file, whatever. It seems to reload everything automatically. Yeah. And then in Grails, you periodically have to do a clean if you're changing domain model and things like that, because under the hood it's actually generating a full Hibernate data structure and all kinds of fun things like that. And so it needs to go back and regenerate the Hibernate.
So it's hard to find out
methods.
when you actually have to restart the application or even clean the outputs, and it's some kind of magic.
With Groovy you have the same issue sometimes when you change the structure and the inheritance and things like that.
Yeah.
With Groovy itself you have to clean so that the method will go.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and much of that's just how dynamic can you make a language on top of a statically typed JVM. So.
Well, there is the Java Rebel guy that did quite a good job on the Java environment. I don't know if they try on the Groovy environment.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen JRuby. I've never seen have that problem, but maybe it's different the way they do.
They're not sitting on Hibernate, are they?
Yeah, I think both. I think Grails and Groovy both try to compile down to bytecode so that it's actually relatively efficient underneath. And I think the Ruby environment is still very much interpreted or much more dynamic than.
And Grails tries to leverage existing EE, Java EE libraries, right? So
Right. It tries to fit in with the Spring Hibernate universe. It's very much, well, I think it is owned by the developers work for Spring Source now. So
One thing we stumbled above is that actually it seems to derive the locale from the browser when translating the date, the month brings here, but it doesn't do that for
seems to pick up the
messages.
locale from
So
wherever the JVM is.
it
Well,
was-
we understood something is wrong with that.
that's why it didn't work. Everything's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
and you have the German stuff here, but and German here above, but as you see before, you can translate this one to English, but this stays German for whatever reason. Yeah. Okay, that's all, I guess.
And then we decided we needed to geek out on Scala and see what was going on with the Scala crew. So we were here for the rest of the day.
Cool.